Greetings, fellow humans and light beings. It does feel a bit like the time of Noah, and my prayers for you is that we're all building our own spiritual arcs. This is not a war about kinetics. It's not a war about bombs or rifles. This is a spiritual war. And so our arcs need to be spiritually solid. They need to be made of tough stuff. Like daily meditation, daily prayer. It's been an interesting time in the world. Life has changed. We go out less, we stay in more, and spend time with loved ones. And in this time, I've found myself hanging out with the most interesting, fascinating people, peers, healers from all over. A couple of weeks ago, of course, Nati said one day during a discussion with some fascinating people, we should be recording this. I'm sure there's someone out there that would love to hear these conversations. And so we did. We started recording these wonderful, fascinating conversations. And this is the first of them, with a beautiful soul, South African traditional healer, Sangoma Tuli Nhlapo, and Kosnati, and myself. There's some drumming, there's conversation about African spirituality, and where we are in the world and where we go from here. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I hope you'll like and subscribe the channel. Please remember that my book, it's book number 2, No Man's Land, is available. All you need to do is send an email to I@toothfairy.com and just make your subject line, please send No Man's Land. And we will reply to that email with a copy of No Man's Land. So it's a free publication out now. You can get it from that email address. The other books, What If and Alone in a Sea of Normal, are in various stages of publication, and I will let you know when they are available. Without further ado, here is Tuli and the gang.
Yes.
Very interesting. So there are sort of physical reactions to the drumming. You decided to dance, which is synonymous with flying, and I started grounding, which is synonymous with the earth. So,
because he's Earth, he's an Earth being. I'm an air.
So you just want to fly.
so you started flying, and I was like, "Well, I'm not that. I'll be here."
Okay, so truly, speak to us about African spirituality. Tell us. And I'm grounded in the Baha'i faith. I was raised in that, and we believe that there were messengers to every tribe in the world throughout time. And even though the records of some of those messengers have been lost, we believe that there were messengers to Africa and to the Nguni people. But that obviously the record, like a Bible has been lost because of not being written word at the time. And so we've seen a convergence in Africa of the missionaries came out, and then the church, and then some people merged church and African spirituality, and some people try to separate them absolutely. What is it that you think, where are we today with African spirituality, with the history of Africa?
I think with African spirituality, my perspective is that we are lost. As a young person, young not in age, but young in African spirituality, you can't get an elder to tell you exactly where we are. Because there were messages before the Bible. How do I know that? We have what we call Istunywa. Istunywa are messengers of God to a tribe. So if I have them, where is that documented? Who were they? And then where is it documented? Nowhere. So that is what I'm saying, we lost. We're trying to retrace our steps. And in retracing our steps, we're making a lot of mistakes. Because what I know for a fact, the Nguni spirit goes with the messengers. That is why you find that everyone who's initiating a Nguni spirit, they will say, Umnguni Nesthulu. But now you find, people initiating without the messenger. Yet our forefathers, our great-grandmothers, they worshipped uZimu, uThixo, uHamata. They had a word for God long before the missionaries came, which is why they respected nature, the environment. We had church, but we didn't have buildings. But we had church. Church was like the mountains, your rivers, everything, a plant. We had plants that were sacred. We had places that were sacred. So we had church, but where is that documented?
And even, I can kind of testify to that lost knowledge, because when we moved here, I was, I think, 6, and I spent a lot of time, like myself, in the country, just trying to absorb as much stuff. And I've never heard those stories. I've always heard that there were people before, but there's that huge gap of like, well, and now? We kind of need them right now here too. So, what's going on? I felt the absence of that, even as somebody who was transplanted and landed here and was like, oh, my heart is here. Yes. Oh, yes. Africa. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm home. Often my frustration is I would say to somebody would say, oh, we do this, this, and this. And I would say, why? Not out of disrespect, but why? Because unless you understand why, and somebody says this needs to be done, unless you understand why, what is the practical application of that? So you doing that is only observing obedience, but then what are you serving? Which is where we are right now in the world. Yeah. Because we don't have the discretion of saying, this thing is real or this thing isn't real, because we don't have that guidance.
Yeah. Well, and the guidance part is important, because that's when we come to my passion and what I teach is meditation, Reiki. And through meditation and Reiki, we awaken our sixth sense. And through our sixth sense, we can access our own personal guidance through our, what I call fairies.
as a nondescript word that kind of covers everything, but I'm talking about, when I say fairies, I mean ancestors, higher self, universe, guidance. Some people call it God. Whatever it is, I just call it fairies because it offends nobody. And, the alternative being I talk to dead people, which some people freak out about.
It's my personal favorite.
Yeah, I talk to dead people. No, never mind. So talking to fairies, which is a natural outcome of meditation and going into theta state and reconnecting and realigning. So if we have the old messengers and then we have a loss of information on those bases, some traditions have been passed forward. Sometimes we lose why. Like in the Catholic Church, they lost the reason for burning incense. They just swing incense around, but they don't know, most Catholics don't know the origin of that and why that's important and actually why it's beneficial. So we kind of use these very limited form traditions, but then lose the essence of them and lose the understanding of them and the importance and the wisdom of them. And the bridge between all of that seems to me to be people like yourself, the Sangomas, the people who are connected, the people who speak to ancestors, the people who can access the guidance that has been lost. And I love that. I love that while you have your traditions, you rely almost entirely on asking for guidance.
That is where my frustration and all the trouble start. Because you land into what practices African spirituality, and then as soon as you get there, you're saying to your guys, okay, they saying, sorry, that's not how we used to do it. No, trace it back. We do it this way. And then when you're saying we're gonna do it, but no one does it that way. So, which is why you end up with a label of like, you're old school. I mean, you do things differently. It's not like you go out of your way to do things differently. It's how you are told that we do it this way. Because, I mean, right now, it seems we're practicing African spirituality. That was like after the Suppression of Witchcraft Act. It starts there. That's the spirituality we're practicing. But I mean, my people were there before. So it kind of explains why I'm kind of doing weird things, having the original snuff, not the shop one, and beating drums and like invoking ancestors without using any herbs because they want it that way. So I don't know. Well, I've lost a lot of information.
It's really a lot of common ground there, because as a practicing Reiki master, obviously a medium as well, and I receive guidance for clients and for myself, and I trust that guidance, and my experience has been that guidance is true. So I get insight into clients from the ancestors or the forebearers of that client, and so the same would be true with African spirituality. If you don't have the teachings, the guidance of the original manifestations of God to the Nguni people, the next best thing to that is to access the ancestors and to access the spirit of that messenger through the facility, through the faculty of meditation, of receiving inspiration, through mediumship, if you will, in the other part of the language to that. But it seems to me that it really is the bridge, because a lot of my clients that come from African backgrounds, who are church-going people and have been for a few generations, now return to African spirituality through sangomas that they see, but it's too weird for them now.
It's weird for me. I mean, I'm terrified of sangomas because how I understand Ubungo, it's sacred, it's holy, it's like you are housing heaven in you. But how it's practiced is something different. So I kind of miss the connection, which is what I'm saying with the Nguni people. See, we worship God, So you go to the nowadays sangomas, they say, oh, we're not talking about God, we're talking about other things. And you're saying, but my people, they say they're closer to God, means, and then you're saying you don't take that part. Because we don't worship ancestors as people think. No. Siyabaphakamisa. We don't worship ancestors.
Yeah,
we worship God.
There's a distinct difference between the two. And I think people need to really start learning the discernment. Because as people start returning, not just being blind to oh, okay, saw the sign, I saw your ad, so I'm showing up. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. Roll up.
So many people these days are looking for something. I heard I was listening to a video the other day of one of the British envoys at the end of the 1800s, so the 1870s to 1890s, somewhere in there. The Queen sent an envoy to Africa to find out how the African people, Southern African people, could be conquered. She wanted to know what was the best strategy in dealing with the Southern African people.
This is a trip. This tripped me out.
Yeah, and
still messes me up. Okay, go for it.
True.
And you know,
it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And even documented.
And these documents are available in archives. And he returned to England and said that his experience of the people of Southern Africa was so impressive. They were of such noble character, that they were so connected to the earth and so joyful that he couldn't find, and surrounded by so much abundance. Gold lay on, diamonds and resources lay all around them. And they were such a happy, noble people that he could not find anything that they needed that they could possibly be bought with. And he said to the Queen of England at the time, I don't see a way to conquer these people because they are so noble, so attached to the earth, so aligned, that I can't see a way for you to conquer them. And so it seems after that a campaign was put in place to strip their nobility away, because
and discredit
people. And because if you see the people today, that it's not that nobility is gone, but it certainly is hiding in a lot of cases. You know, people aren't feeling confident. They don't stand on the world stage and say, I am
South African,
I am a Zulu man, or I am a Zulu woman, or, you know, I am in
Ndebele. Something other than you're from Southern Africa and you eat McDonald's and you're wearing all of the current clothing from everywhere else in the world. Okay, so what makes you different then?
I think it's about the materialism, first of all. People look at America or Europe and they say, oh, these people have good cars and good things, and they have a spiritual system that they follow, and so they must be better than us. I've told you before, that word drives me insane, mlungu. What is it that I know that people think they don't know? You know, so it's almost become inculcated into the culture that people are somehow, they feel less than. If you go to rural places, you can still find that nobility of spirit.
I think we kind of we were divided, and we have, you know, semi-political freedom. My take is until we have spiritual freedom, we're going nowhere as a country. Because why I say that, whereas it is the way I initiate and the way I do things, what I like the most about the few people that I've initiated, because for me, it's not like the numbers, I've got what. No, it's about the quality and the ancestor. They must speak until the ancestor arrives and actually speak. I don't move. So when they get to that stage, what I like the most is, like, say, the peace I feel inside. I don't care if there's how much in the bank. I don't care what car I drive. I don't care who swears at me. I'm at peace, Makosi. Thank you. You know, I'm like so relieved. And you say, relieved from what? Because I gave you that. They said, no, you don't know how I feel inside. So to say, I mean, okay, fine, I've got 7 cars and all that, but you pop in 7 pills.
Yeah.
And then you like, yes, and then you want to look like an American rapper walking in skimpy dresses, and then, I don't know. Well, we don't work in maxi dresses and cover up, but you know, when someone has genuine ancestors, it's not the dress that will tell you. You feel it when they approach to say, the person I'm about to meet has something. I don't know what it is, but there's something about them when they say, even say good morning, say, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's going back to that real thing, because everyone's looking for peace, everyone's looking for acceptance, everyone's looking for love. How are you gonna get that if you are not connected to your people? Because you are a combination of our people. And then how do you do that without God?
Yeah.
So what I think is missing, we remove God in everything we do in this country. And we thought we're being civilized. Also, Ungoma, we remove God in it because church said, these are demons. You can't speak to the dead people. How dead are they? Because David is dead.
Yeah.
And are still quoting in the Bible.
Yeah.
Moses is dead.
Yeah.
So how dead are they? If they can tell you the right thing and they tell you to live right and to eat right, but they dead.
Yeah.
They're not saying go and kill someone. So
Exactly.
we missed it when we say Ubungoma is just about witchcraft. You want that man? I'll give you something to get that man. You want a car? Okay, I'll give you something to get that car. No, it's not about that. Definitely not.
And I think this gets to an important point, because in the work that I've done with ancestral healing, we're finding often, and it's biblical as well, the sins of the fathers are visited on the son. And that's true in a very real sense, even a scientific sense, that once a kink is introduced into DNA, that moves forward.
Yeah.
So if one of your ancestors introduces some psychopathy into an ancestral line, they are not released from that line, or they're not able to move on until that kink that they've introduced has been released, has been healed. And so what I see with a lot of my clients, when they find the piece of trauma, the piece of damage that is common to all of their family, that is common to their grandparents, mother, father, and they can find that piece of damage, and when they heal it for everybody.
Yes.
Not only here on earth, not only the people now living, but the people before them and the people after them, because you heal it for your children and your grandchildren too, because it doesn't then move on.
Exactly. So it gets to stop right there.
And I feel this weight of trauma, this weight of unhealed damage all around us from the people who have recently passed in the last century, let's say. There's so much unhealed trauma around us. You can see it in the people you meet every day. You can see it in society. People are on edge. And there's so much there. There's so much healing to be done. And so when we heal ourselves, when we come to someone like yourself, and we heal what's going on for us, what people need to understand is they don't only heal it for themselves, they heal it for their children, for their grandparents, and the ancestry going way back.
Which is what, what I like about the initiates. They will say, this and this person from my family came and said they're in bondage because they were not speaking, or they killed so and so's wife, or they slept with their brother's wife and they died without talking. So can we sort that out, because it's disturbing my this and this and that in the family. So how I see it now, most of the initiation happens in families. Those who are chosen not to drive big cars, but to heal the family traumas, which is why when someone starts this journey, other family members start benefiting immediately.
Exactly.
They are the last ones who benefit. But we try to bypass this and say, hey, it's not about that. It's about healing past traumas.
Yes.
And then in church, oh, it's generational curse, you can pray it away. I don't know how.
Yeah, when you address it in the present day, when you address it in the people that it's in today and release it, because everything's about frequency after all. So if one family member finds through meditation, through accessing their ancestral guidance, if they access the frequency of a healed thing, then just that frequency can be passed to their family members.
Real healing has got nothing to do with the BMW or a big house or anything. Real healing is something that you feel.
Okay, so let's use an example. Let's use you as an example because you're a nice, clear example. In your path, in your process, what is obvious and what stands out as part of your ancestral healing is twofold, because you have both. You have your Cherokee and your Iroquois and your Cherokee heritage, and they obviously had a lot of trauma through the Americas and everything that happened there. But you also have your African American heritage, which then goes back to slavery, which goes back to untold trauma, right?
Yeah.
And so you know how in today, if we were to put on some of the African American music from the early 1900s, you would feel that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I just start crying. Just crying like a baby. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, and I'm like, okay. I was happy.
Yeah.
Now I'm.
What?
What is this? What is this resonance?
And the other thing is the drum. So you respond to, which is common from the Native American with the African, is the drumming and Native American music, and you resonate well with that too.
Exactly.
So it's easy to find where our trauma lies. Some of it's logical because you know your ancestry, and so you know what happened, and you know the obvious points of healing. Obviously, there's going to be trauma here or trauma there, and then you can find it in yourself.
And here's a little tip. Here's a little tip that I think a lot of people skip in their quest to heal others and themselves heal, is you got to feel it. You got to feel where to heal. If you can't feel it, start there. If you can't feel it, start there. Why can't I feel this? Why can't I? Wait, hang on. I can't not just feel this, but I can't feel this too. And wait, hang on. Maybe I'm cut off from my emotions.
Yeah, you're talking about dead spots, numb spots. Yeah. So there's ways to find the ancestral healing, and then when we have it, so now we know, okay, I have some ancestral trauma around slavery. Yeah. So I want to dive into that, and the only way out is through, right? So you dive into that, and you get into meditation, and then you communicate with that ancestry.
Exactly.
And ask them, how do I heal this? What do I do now?
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the issue is. I don't even need all the details. Just let me know how can I make this better for everybody, because I'm kind of tired of carrying this around, and every time I hear a song from the Plantations, I'm like, oh my God, you get that trauma in me again. It's like, hey. I mean, I'm not a lot of fun when that happens, so. You know, it would be nice to heal, and instead when I hear that, have a nice little laugh and a dance and hey, we're through that. Hey. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. So,
I mean, take an example, like our 1-year-old. He knows about all the terms African spirituality, but start beating a drum and clapping hands. He even reminds you before goes to start clapping hands. Why? He's never inhaled snuff, but I mean, you touch it, you bring it near his nose and say, how does he know how to do that? Exactly. He's only one.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
and just because we have no video here, Tuli's not saying that he inhaled the snuff. He made the face of somebody who inhaled the face.
Who is like an
So
old
we're not feeding snuff to 1-year-olds, okay? Yeah.
But he made the face like an old man.
Exactly.
Hang on, a 1-year-old making that face without even touching the snuff. How does he do that?
Yeah.
Who taught him that? Was no one has taught him.
Yeah.
So you can tell that. I mean, we were quick to call our ancestors demons. We need to sit down with the church and those who believe in the church who are scared to like connect to their ancestors who are their own people, by the way,
Exactly.
and saying they are demons, but I mean they go to David's grave in Jerusalem, wherever. But I mean, it's also David.
I really want to jump in on this because it's kind of like a funny thing that I was thinking the other day. The difference between kind of the Native American spirituality. I was just imagining the outrage you would cause if you were in a Native American powwow situation with real Native Americans there, and then an elder there said, "The Great Spirit said so and so." No. The Great Spirit just told me that you're wrong, and because they've actually lived that, they've lived through that trauma, but they're so connected to that, they'd just laugh you out and boo you out if you were lucky. Do you know what I mean? But here in Africa, it's no, don't say that. We don't go there. And what do? Oh, you're right. Wait a minute. You just had ants in your pants to get that message out, and now suddenly somebody that you've assumed knows better tells you about it, and then you just somebody. If the voice in your head can't tell you very clearly, then there's something wrong. Then you're following the wrong thing. You know where I'm going with that?
We're in such an important age, though, because in this age, again, coming back to the Baha'i faith and the Baha'i writing, so one of the important teachings of this time is unfettered, independent investigation of truth. That in this age, every human being holds the potential of the station of prophethood, that we all have access to the next world. Yeah, we all have access to ancestors, that we all can call and should call on them. In fact, Abdul Baha says, pray for them as they pray for you. So within that context now, that aligns perfectly with African spirituality. And what I love about what you're doing, Tuli, is you're guiding people to hearing their own ancestors.
I wish it was that simple. It is that simple according to them. To say just connect us and leave us alone. But I mean, you do that and connect people to their ancestors, then you're in trouble. Because I mean, we've monetized this whole thing. I mean, your ancestors must speak to me. I must tell you what they say. So it's like we're seeing so many people going to African spirituality. What I'm asking myself, are they connecting with their real ancestors or with other spirits that they don't know? That is where the problem is right now. If all these people are saying they're connecting to their real ancestors, then I would say we really are healing as a country. We're going to achieve spiritual freedom. And as soon as we achieve spiritual freedom, that is where we're going to be free and free indeed. But until that happens, we allow people to connect to their own and in their own way. Then
and totally disregard.
So it's like now it's like a school that you go to Tulintlapo school. Tulintlapo school has a maroon and white uniform. You do as Tuli says. Tuli's gogo drinks black tea in a big cup. You all do that. What if your gogo prefers milk, tea? And what if you don't even have a gogo? You have a mkulu who wants a pie? So
he's not going to appreciate that cup of hot tea. So good luck with that.
So we need to get to the stage where we allow people to be themselves with their ancestors and not interfere in them.
And Sangomas still have a role, and Nyangas, that everyone has a role in this, because if people, so the idea of people losing market share because they're empowering people is nonsensical, because people are still going to come up with questions. They're still going to say, I'm receiving this message that I don't quite understand. Will you help me interpret it?
Yes.
And so that's, they still have, the more people are hearing for themselves, the more they're accessing for themselves, they'll still have questions. And so they can still bring those questions. And then we come to the issues of of physical healing where they need herbal, inputs and whatnot. And that's still absolutely. But if we can get enough people connecting, aligning, opening to their sixth sense, going into meditation, whether it's through drumming is an incredible alpha meditation.
I don't know. It's possessed. I literally turned the sound off. I don't know what to say. Shut up! I don't stop sending me no junk, Bill Gates.
Yeah, no junk from any side. Super. Okay, I think that's been a great introductory conversation. Is there anything more you'd like to say?
For
Yeah,
now,
you're good. You're good.
Just end it right there.
Okay. Yeah.
You're busy with Bill Gates.
Finish on Bill Gates because
Oh
he's
my
like
goodness.
public enemy number one. You know.
It's been mute this whole time, and now it's decided to blow up.
Because you spoke about the plantation.
You see?
Okay.
It's probably YouTube videos going, here's this song for you. Happy days are here. Some tissues?
And thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the other side.